Nerds and geeks back at it again. It is the legendary Nerd-O-Roundtable. Yours truly, King Nerdificent Wallace Sharp in the building, joined by the one, the only Mo Kelly. What it is, good sir.
I actually watched all of the Oscars pretty much from beginning to end tonight. And that's something I haven't done in many, many years. So we got a lot to talk about. Some good stuff, some bad stuff, but it was actually eye-opening in a lot of ways as far as where the industry is going. Can't wait to get into
I
it.
I wish I could have been more surprised. I wish that I would have been surprised by some of the wins, and I wasn't. I was not surprised by a single solitary win this evening. And I know there are some people who are up in arms about, best picture, best director, and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, but this is the Oscars. This is how it was going to go. And I actually do not take this as an affront to black culture. I've seen that right now. I've seen that, Oscars is still so white. I'm like, pause. Okay, pause. Sinners was nominated for everything and then some.
16.
So Sinners was not excluded. Sinners was nominated in each and every award category that it should have been, and then some award categories that I was like, oh, okay, craft services, great.
Yeah.
Things like that. And I think that not enough people actually know what the Oscars is or how this voting process works. They think that this is a category based on popularity or, ticket sales or whatever. And it's not. This is an award that is basically voted on by industry insiders, by those within the field, similar to the Grammys.
Yep.
The Grammys is not based on what you like. The Grammys is based on votes tabulated and culminated from people within the industry who are voting for projects that they are either involved in or projects that they feel are deserving of their vote. And in these categories, similar to the Grammys, you are voting on categories that you are qualified to vote in. So this is an insider's look at what people on the inside felt should have won, and the category and the films that won or the actors that won, they got what they got.
There's something else, and the people who are voting, yes, there are personal allegiances, there are professional allegiances. I'm quite sure there are voting blocks who are all trying to vote for their projects, and it's hard to police art.
Yeah.
In the sense of we want to have more black folks represented in the Oscars. It really doesn't work that way. But you mentioned Sinners. Not only did it receive 16 nominations, but it also garnered wins in not just the technical categories like best costume or whatever it was, best cinematography or whatever but it also had best actor. So it was recognized all across the categories. It won more than a handful. It may not have won best director and best picture, but I personally never at any time believed it was going to win either of those awards. One battle after another, I saw it. I thought it was but I understand why it was perfect for the Oscar voting body. You had the name attached as director. You had the name attached as best actor in terms of Leonardo DiCaprio. And obviously the darling Sean Penn, who won his third Oscar tonight. It just had all those things working for it and a big corporate machine behind it to push it towards Oscar greatness. Now, I didn't care much for it, but I don't put any real stock in the Oscars as far as validation of the films that I like. I enjoy what I enjoy. I'm happy for Michael B. Jordan as far as the trajectory of his career. I'm disappointed for those like Delroy Lindo and Wunmi Masako, but I understand how it works like this. And it's for the people who are upset that it didn't win, you have to stop looking to the Oscars for a certain level of validation. I get it. You want to be able to say, this movie is appreciated as much as any other movie that came out this year. I get all that, but we need to stop looking to the Oscars for that.
I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine, and I was explaining to her that right now I'm in a space where if it is not for us and by us. I honestly don't care about it. I do not care about any misgivings or disrespect or perceived disrespect to quote unquote black culture, because I don't look to organizations or institutions to recognize anything that we do. If we do not recognize it, then that's too bad on us. It is for us to recognize our works. And I think that Sinners is a film and Sinners is a project that reached so far across what most rated R and perceived horror films do. It's not a horror film, but I think the perception when it first came out was, and Sinners did so much across the board to bring people in and tell this fantastic story that I think that right there is award in itself, you know. And Coogler did get best original screenplay, which yeah, absolutely he should, because this is not based on anything. It's not a sequel. It's not based on a book or anything. It's something that he came up with. And I said, this is amazing. And he got the award absolutely that I think he should have gotten. You know, mad props to Michael B. Jordan. I'm so happy that he has received this Oscar for this nomination. And really and truly, a lot of people who did win Oscars for various films. I think K-pop Demon Hunters, I think they should have won. I think that absolutely is the best song. That's a song that's actually playing on the radio all the damn time. And it is a song that has global impact and things like that. I think for me, honestly, when it comes to like, say, best male supporting actor, I know a lot of people wanted Delroy Lindo, but the onlyest thing I liked about One Battle After Another is Benicio del Toro's supporting role in that film. I thought he was the whole film. Really and truly, I thought Benicio del Toro was the whole reason for watching that film. It should have been his story. So yeah, I thought that he was robbed in the fact that he did not get best supporting actor. We all knew that Homegirl was going to get Hamnet because that's just all anyone has ever talked about. Ludwig Göransson, Sinners. The score to that film alone, the score for Sinners is absolutely insane. It is what keeps you into the film. So of course, if Ludwig's on it, he's absolutely going to get it. And again, I look, when the Oscars starts to recognize films that I actually spend time taking in, then me personally, I would take the Oscars seriously. The Oscars is not for your average film goer. The Oscars is not for even your average cinephile, someone who just knows film inside and out. It's not what the Oscars is for. It's not, you know, it is, you know, it's an inside baseball thing, and they're actually bringing a camera in for us to see what those in the industry like and what those in the industry are voting on.
No, that's a great point. It's their party, and they allow us to sit at the window and kind of look in. It's not about us as the fans or the viewers. I think the greatest success of Sinners is that you had a majority black cast. It was against type as far as content, as far as the story that they're trying to tell. You can call it a horror movie. You can call it a science fiction movie, whatever, however you want to characterize it. But it allowed a larger swath of storytelling with black leads being told, as opposed to black leads being in a slave movie or a segregation movie. Yes, this movie happened during segregation, but it wasn't about segregation, and we weren't victims in the story trying to overcome per se. And that's the beauty of Sinners, because why not tell that story and get it into theaters? Because there is an audience for it. And, you know, because Hollywood is so against trying something new or different. A lot of times we just get the same old movies over and over again. And credit to One Battle After Another. It wasn't like other typical Hollywood movies. Now it's typical of the type of the movie that the Oscars would love. And as soon as I saw it, it's like, you know, and one of the best performances in the movie is Chase Infinity, who we had a chance to interview, and she didn't get any acknowledgement from the Oscars.
Like nothing at all, which is, to me, that was shocking. I was like, wow, man.
She had far more screen time than Tiana Taylor.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the film arguably focused more on her than anyone. So that's why I'm like, how on earth was she just excluded outside of her newness. Okay, I get it. She's new to the game, but I'm surprised at how a film that in the end was so focused on her character
Yeah.
and her reuniting with her father and understanding this crusade that her family had started. I don't know how she was not nominated, but again, for me personally, I did not like that movie at all.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because of growing up having such an intimate knowledge of what the revolutions were like, be it the Black Panther Party or be it, the US organization, and just knowing what those organizations were about. And then looking at something like this, that it's almost like they took this super liberal idea of fighting against these immigration raids and fighting against the detentions at the border, and they superimposed it against this made up group and had all these fantastical ideas about the government and the people who are behind it and all these things that people believe. They took all these things that people believe and put it into this hodgepodge of a movie that for the most part I sat there thinking to myself, like, are we serious right now? Like, I get that this is satirical, but this is stupid even as satire.
Yeah, I didn't know whether they were trying to make a serious point or not. You had so many cartoonish characters, especially Sean Penn's character. It's like he just looked like a super villain in a comic book movie.
Yeah.
And then you had Leonardo DiCaprio's characters. Like, I can't believe this guy was ever a serious revolutionary. He did nothing right at any point. And Tiana Taylor's character was, to me, a bunch of stereotypes of the hypersexual Black woman. That was just me.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that.
Yeah. I think that
go ahead.
That I was gonna say that I think that's what, when you say this plays to Oscar type, it plays to a lot of hyper focused film, like the things that people want to see in films and the things that people are saying are missing from films. I think that this actor put all of that, or this director put all of that into his movie. I think that that's what this was about, and I think that's why it got so much attention, and why you have an Oscar body who was saying this film was so daring and so bold. And really true is for those of us who, again, we watch movies and we're able to pick these things up. It wasn't that serious to us. Dr. Liz, how you doing, sister?
Wow, isn't this a great day?
Yes, it is. It is. It is. It is. It is a great day for those who have been rooting for Michael B. Jordan, and for those who even have been rooting for Ryan Coogler. And we were just getting into that, and the whys and the ways that these awards rolled out, and how really and truly there are no surprises. Mo and I have been weighing in on it. What say you about the Oscars and the winners thus far?
It felt like Michael B. Jordan was going to win, especially looking at how Timothy's doing no favors. Let me ask, I know that we should be talking about the winners, but what do you guys think about what's going to happen with Timothy? His comments about the arts.
I think he's young. I think he's young. And as the old saying goes, and forget the crassness of it, he's young, dumb, and full of cum. And he's just he's at that age where he thinks that his opinion matters so much. To me, Timothy Chalamet going on these press tours and talking about all this and ballet and what I do and do not want to see and all that, I think he is indicative of a society and a culture that posts pictures of what it is that we're eating online, as if that matters to anyone, because we all think that these little mundane things that we do are so important, and we post these things online. And I think that he is a product of that. He is a product of a generation of people who think that every single thing that they say and do is right and important. And so he feels entitled to say these things. And he's not old enough to know anything about what he's talking about, nor does he have the life experiences.
Even though his mother's a ballerina.
But I think it's more than that. You have Timothy Chalamet, who became very famous at a very young age, and I'm sure he has a lot of yes people around him who fawn over him and agree with his every thought. And then you find people who start believing everything they think with no type of of critical analysis, no self-reflection, no vetting it with other people, and they just say stuff thinking that the general society is going to respond accordingly. Who in their right mind, who is an actor, someone who's in the cinematic arts, is going to be stupid enough to diss musicals and ballet or what other different other art forms? If not for them, there is no you. If you know in the history of the genesis and evolution of the arts, this Timothée Chalamet, he's indicative of this particular Gen Z generation, but there's also this narcissism specific to him, which is probably just availing itself for the first time. And the more we know about this guy, probably the less we'll like him.
Interesting.
That point.
Because Marty Supreme is a jerk. Like the Marty Supreme in the movie is a jerk. You're not, I think that there's a humanistic approach. And I've said it when we mentioned this show, we mentioned this movie before, is that the thing that I liked about the movie is every single thing you can, everything single thing, you have a dream, you can work hard for it, you can put it first, and it still doesn't mean you can have the talent. But if you have a bad attitude, it can stand in the way. If you lack humility, it can stand in the way. And you can absolutely do all the things to get there, screw everybody in the process, and still not make your dream. And that is relatable to a lot of people.
But also, I think in the end of Marty Supreme, who, again, in all truth, I did not see it, but I have gone back and forth with both my mother and daughter who saw it, and they were comparing their thoughts in it. And from two vastly different generations, both came to the same conclusion that through all of that, there was no lesson learned. And in the end, he comes back, trying to, reconnect with a woman who he almost got murdered, holding his kid like, hey, yeah, you're my son. And it's like, that's this generation. You can do whatever type of madness, whatever type of craziness you want. And there is nothing for you to answer for. There is nothing that you can answer for in this political climate. You can do and say whatever you want, and there's nothing or no one for you to answer to. And I think all of that, what you just said is so perfect. I think that we are just seeing the beginnings of the real Timothée Chalamet. I think that we are seeing him away from his handlers, and just, with someone sitting down with him with a camera in front of him, who are just getting these really, really hot takes that they're probably sitting there saying, oh, do tell us more about how you feel. He's willing to just throw this out there. And you can tell from, I watched the comments, I watched what he was saying, and I said to myself, he really, really believes this in this moment right now. With what he is saying, he wholeheartedly believes what he is saying, and he believes it to be true. He's not even thinking about it. For him to say, he is saying it in a way as like, I'm telling you something factual. I don't know why you don't know this.
And what's interesting is, to me, I'm thinking that there is still not just an old Hollywood who upholds the arts, but there's a lot of artists that make their additional bread and butter by going back to stage.
Every single one.
For him to kind of make that, it's going to be hard to vote for somebody who is going to diss something that people still go back to making their bread and butter dollar. It is the thing that holds New York up. It is the thing that is extremely important. And when you have him up against somebody that is extremely likable, like Michael B. Jordan, and it is rare you see anybody say a bad thing about him as a person.
I'm just going to say this. There's a reason they call those the fine arts. Because all of those things, opera, ballet, stage, plays, and also musicals, you are in the moment. There are no redos. There are no reshoots. There are no take 17. There are no reposition the cameras, go take a break and come back. You are doing it in real time. That is what fine art is actually about. Knowing the craft, working the craft. And I will just say, count me as a person who was absolutely thrilled that Marty Supreme got snubbed. Thrilled. Didn't get any of the good stuff. Nothing. And I will say, I saw Marty Supreme, and we talked about it, I think, on another show. My whole perspective is that it was a great performance of a completely unlikable character. It's like Monique in Precious. I didn't need to see Precious again. Didn't need to see 12 Years a Slave again. Didn't need to see Marty Supreme again. He was a dickhead, and ultimately he lost. I guess he had his internal, righteousness of whatever. But at the end of the day, there's a reason why there aren't any orange Marty Supreme ping pong balls. And granted, he was a hustler, but he made a series of catastrophically horrible decisions. And thankfully, that poor woman who played his love interest or / almost baby mama, whatever, in the movie wasn't a real person, because he put his own baby at risk behind some dumb shit. That's what that character was. And great, he learned how to play ping pong. Okay, I still thought the ping pong was fake. So I thought it was on some old Forrest Gump shit. So you put 4 years into learning ping pong for a character that everybody hates, and Tom Hanks won an Oscar for playing fake ping pong because everybody loved his character. That's the takeaway for me.
That's a great point.
That's a great point.
Ding Dong can kiss my ass, because as much as I've enjoyed him, I love the Dune movies. I'm completely fine that they're stopping at Dune Messiah. It kind of goes left after Dune Messiah anyway. So I'm fine with him as a performer, but I am over this inevitability of Timothée Chalamet being like some whatever. Zendaya is incandescent.
Wow. I mean, tonight,
incandescent. And so that's a person. I put on my page, she is already surpassed, as far as I'm concerned. She has surpassed Halle Berry at this age.
Well, when I saw her in that bob haircut tonight, I said, okay, this is Halle with a different trajectory as an actress and entertainer.
Because guess what? Her Oscar is not going to come from having sex with Billy Bob Thornton and being married to Puffy. That is not where Zendaya's Oscar is coming from. And I don't know if you all have talked about the In Memoriam section yet. Have you?
No. As a matter of fact, welcome to the show, Tom.
Yeah, thank you. I know I'm coming in hot, but
it's all good.
So I was somewhat taken aback at the In Memoriam, because they did it in multiple phases, because there were so many big names. They kicked it off with Rob Reiner, and the Rob Reiner tribute was absolutely amazing, and it reaffirmed for me how many classic indelible movies from the American cinematic landscape he directed and was a part of. That was absolutely stunning. I didn't think and didn't remember in the moment that Diane Keaton had passed. I wasn't thinking about Catherine O'Hara. I wasn't thinking about Robert Duvall. I wasn't thinking about all of these iconic persons who had passed this year, but to kick it off with Rob Reiner, and then so many of the people that he had directed to come forward and stand on stage with Billy Crystal, who was the absolute perfect choice to do and start that thing, was just absolutely amazing to me.
And I'm gonna come back to you real quick, Tom, but Liz, before we went left with Shamalama Ding Dang, I was asking what you thought about the winners this evening.
I'm gonna tell you what.
Were you surprised? Or
I am a Michael B. Y'all know I am a Michael B. Jordan day one.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
That I have never been so well. I take it back. That's not true. I was excited for Halle Berry for sure. I was thrilled for Will Smith. And I am ecstatic for Michael B. Jordan. And I'm really happy for Ryan Coogler. I love all of his projects. The only thing, and especially for me, I feel like Ryan Coogler is now at the space where he doesn't need to just do Black Like, don't give him just the Black movie. Like our Sam character said in I can't remember his real name, my bad. The Sam character in Marvel. He's just up there with with other great film directors out there. He is just as good,
That's why I
equally
always
as
hate when
good.
people say things like they should let Ryan Coogler do Blade. And like, to me, that is the most disrespectful thing
It
to say.
is.
I'm like,
Yeah.
are you saying that because he's Black? Because that's the only reason you would say he should do Blade.
But
There are
to
plenty of
Liz's
people who could do Blade.
point, Ryan Coogler now can greenlight whatever he wants.
Yes.
So if it happens to be Black Panther 3, we can know that's his choice, and that's a lane that he wants to stay in or lead in. Now, I think he's a very passionate filmmaker, and his passion obviously is connected to us to tell our stories and tell stories featuring us. I look at him very differently than a Tyler Perry, name calling, who has no real interest in growing beyond whatever it does in the audience that it serves. Ryan Coogler, and I don't want to directly compare him to Jordan Peele, but I want to say in a visionary sense, they're about telling great stories, original stories. And even if they hit or not, they are still willing to tell other stories that mainstream Hollywood will not.
Very
Tom, what
true.
was your thoughts on the Oscars tonight?
I was not surprised, I think is the fairest way I would say it.
Yep.
I said a while ago that original screenplay was Coogler's to lose, and he didn't lose it. I think it was pretty obvious. I was pleasantly surprised that cinematography went to a Black woman, first ever to a woman, much less a Black woman or person of color. Ludwig Göransson, I mean, that was kind of a given because the song, which I thought the song performance of I Lied to You was spectacular.
Amazing.
Misty Copeland, National Treasure, again, a fine artist. Timothy. Ding dong. Your ass.
Shabuzi was up there.
Correct. So, but I knew Golden was going to win. I mean, it's a huge pop song and from a huge animated movie that's international. I mean, there was just no way it was going to win. But Ludwig Göransson, on the other hand, I thought that was like kind of like a consolation prize. And then Michael B. Jordan gets Best Actor, and it's just when you look at how Hamnet won for Best Actress, which nobody was surprised. On my page, I said, I am shocked that the only person who was universally expected to win an award actually won. No, there was nobody else. There was nobody else who had a chance. And I think Timothy stepped on his dick at the worst possible time. And before the SAG win, I think probably it was a lot closer. And he stepped on his dick, and then Michael B. Jordan won the SAG, and they were like, here's this guy who is just so humble. He brings his mom. We know we're going to see his mom in a pretty dress. He brings his mom, and he did this thing, which is not often rewarded. You don't often see actors rewarded for the gag of playing twins. And there have been some excellent performances. Jeremy Irons in Dead Ringers, not a movie that you would expect really to get that sort of
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
You went there.
Wow. So you don't often see people win awards because a lot of it goes to the technical efficacy of the director in doing it. But the combination of Coogler making so many brave choices and how he dealt with the twinning, as well as the depth that Michael B. Jordan went into differentiating his characters, and Wumi Masako saying he wore different shoes, and obviously the clothes were different, but he held his mouth a certain way, and all of these things to make the characters individual characters really meant he actually was doing that much more work than anybody else in any of the other films. And so I was pleasantly surprised, not surprised, I was satisfied to see that his performance was rewarded in that way. And to be honest, out of 16 nominations to go away with 4 really, really big awards is good. I mean, I think some
and not
people
just
are
technical
expecting-
categories.
not just
Yeah.
technical, but
Yeah.
big technical though.
Mhm.
Cinematography is huge. So, you know, and it speaks somewhat to delivering on Coogler's vision as a director. So, you know, I think they were cutting hairs. It was obviously one battle versus Sinners this year.
Ugh.
You know, 10 awards between them, and, you know, none of them inconsequential. I was not surprised at Frankenstein winning production design because, as I said on my post, it was sprawling and gothic and just layered and so much depth.
And I
all
mean
of
the
other
makeup too. That
competitors
was
were more grounded in real life. So,
Okay.
no, I just wasn't surprised.
I
get
don't
it.
like I don't like the Frankenstein movie.
Yeah, sure.
But that
Neither did we.
performance was
But from a
amazing.
production design perspective, Frankenstein was impressive. I don't see how
just
you can
that, and
say
that's
it
why
wasn't.
it didn't win any of the other categories. It
Exactly,
won
because it
the
was
category that it should have.
it won the
Or,
category
yeah.
it should have. I was afraid that it might have been able to lose cinematography, but I was very gratified to see that when you think about IMAX and how those shots were framed.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
But
Let
wait,
me ask you
but that
quick.
performance was amazing for Center. That Center and Miles' voice is a treasure.
No, he's amazing.
I cannot wait to see what he comes up with.
Yeah,
His
I
next
hope
thing.
that this is a film that does catapult everyone that was in it to greater things. I really, really do. And if anything, you know, since this does give Coogler the green light to just do whatever, that people continue to support him just as soon as they hear about it, just take my money now, sight unseen. I'm going to go and see it. I'm going to watch it, and he's going to get that support. And he's earned that through all of the things that he's done. He has never put his camera in front of a film that I've disliked, you know, and this goes back to Fruitvale Station, which had me bawling in the theaters, even though I knew what was going to happen. I still was in that theater bawling. So to be bawling now at the end of Sinners, to me, I'm like, he's kept that emotion strong.
So this is why I'm going to push back against your disavowalment of him directing Blade. If he were directing Blade, Blade would not be in turnover. If he agreed to direct Blade, Blade would be made. And that's why, not because he's black, because he's a guarantee. There are a lot of franchises in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that are still up in the air. Black Panther 3 is not one of them. Black Panther 3 is being made. And this is while Doomsday and Secret Wars are ahead of everything else. And there's going to be an X-Men reboot film, and there's going to be Deadpool 4. And for some reason, there's going to be Fantastic Four 2, which I can only guess is, I don't
first
even
one was
know why.
good. It's not true.
No,
The first one was-
but it didn't perform. It just did not perform. So I'm
That's
kind
right,
of
that's right.
surprised.
Yeah.
I know the characters will
That popcorn container is the
yeah, no,
bananas.
I mean, I spent $400 on that shit, so I'm not gonna.
Gosh.
But I did. I bought every single thing that they made for
Mo, you cannot tell me that robot is not amazing.
No, the robot's dope.
It
And
is.
the Galactus head is ridiculous.
Yeah.
The Fantastic Car is ridiculous. Look, everything associated with the film is great. And I don't have necessarily an issue with Ryan Coogler directing Blade or anything else. He can direct Brother Voodoo. He can direct, you know, Luke Cage. He can direct anything
Ooh, that
he
would be
wants to. To me,
awesome.
I
Luke
don't
Cage.
like the idea of this social media sphere saying, hey, essentially my takeaway from the push for him to direct it is because he's black, not because he's a great director.
Well,
And I
wait,
think
wait.
that for me is the problem that I've
Yeah, but it's bigger than that, and I don't know if this is restating the same point, but I trust Ryan Coogler talking about us to anyone else.
Yes,
True.
And
True.
you know, it's not that he's a black director. There are a bunch of black directors who I would not give that same level of trust. In other words, if Ryan Coogler turned around tomorrow and I want to do a Huey P. Newton movie, sign me up, because I don't have to question whether it's going to be some bullshit.
Nope.
That's true.
True. Very true. Very true.
Just
So
like
to Blade,
Judas and the
we
Black
don't have to
Messiah.
worry. Right.
So, you know, it's just I think that's a very good way of saying it, because you brought up another director about whom there are plenty of people who have reservations about how that person tells our stories. So, you know, there are some who have done well by us. There are others who have not. Now, I don't know if the rest of you, to the point about people having better, you know, careers going forward, I actually was driven by Ryan Coogler directing Wunmi Masaku in Sinners to go explore another of her dips into the horror genre called His House. I don't know if you've checked it out. It is a story about a South Sudanese couple, and they escape the regime and they come to England, and they are given a house as refugees, but the house is haunted, and it's badly haunted. And the husband, who is trying to assimilate, is haunted with these horrific visions. And then his wife, who is more of a traditionalist, who reveres the old ways of Sudan, is struggling against it. She's haunted too, but she's haunted in a different way. And there is a third act twist I did not see coming, and a much more hopeful resolution than I expected, given the preceding moments of the movie. But well worth seeing. It is available on streaming, and I highly recommend it. So it's basically a 2-character movie. Although the guy from House of the Dragons, the freaky uncle from House of the Dragons, he has a supporting role in the movie.
Something that you saw recently, Tom, that I've been really curious about, because it looks super trippy, and that's the good luck, have fun, don't die.
Yes.
What is that?
So it's a bunch of things. It's a Gore Verbinski head trip, first and foremost. But the operating premise is that Sam Rockwell is from the future, and he is coming back in time to stop the generation of an AI.
Dr. Liz, are you unboxing something?
Yeah, Liz, you're doing a lot. So he is trying to go back in time to stop the creation of an AI that's basically going to destroy humanity. And this is when he pops into Norm's Diner in LA, it's his 117th trip back. And every time he comes into the diner, it's kind of like that scene in Pulp Fiction where Honey Bunny and the guy stick it up. And so every time he comes back, he's picking different people to help him on his adventure. He fails every single time, but he's failed 116 times already. But he keeps picking different combinations, thinking that one of the combinations is going to be the trick that's going to enable him to get through to all the way to the end of the mission. And so he picks this group, and for the first time in a long time, they've been able to escape Norm's Diner. And that's when things really kick off into high gear. And there's a lot of stuff going on, but it's a big head fake. And there's things that happen in the third act that strain credulity and actually give you hints as to what's actually going on. And the way the movie ends is, some people say it's ambiguous. I read a take that says it's absolutely not ambiguous. It is just confirmed what you believe to be true throughout most of it. And that's all I will say, because I do think it's worth watching. It was very intriguing. Michael Pena is in it. Zazie Beetz is in it, which, I mean, sign me up anytime she's going to do something. Yep. I'm there for Zazie. I will be there for They Will Kill You. So it's worth watching. That's what I will say. Okay. There's one of the current cast members of SNL also has a critical role in this movie. She's not the one that everybody is just fawning over this season. She's actually she's a much smaller player. She may be a special player, not in the cast fully, but she has a critical role in the movie. And it's kind of presented in the way that Weapons is, where you start with the premise and then it cuts and shows the backstories of the characters. And then cuts back into the mainstream continuity. So, but that works. There was one of the segments was over long. It was the segment with the Saturday Night Live characters' backstory. And that was a little confusing, and that's also a hint and a half about where this future society is. But worth seeing, but very trippy. Very trippy.
I'm sure it'll be on streaming for me to watch soon.
Yeah, it's coming to
can't go
streaming.
a
It's
theater.
already.
Yeah.
Oh, it's already?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it didn't
Okay,
make
wait.
enough money to stay off streaming.
Cold Storage is already on streaming. So how did you like that time? I didn't.
I stopped.
Wow.
I kind of ran out of time.
Okay.
But one of the things that pisses me off about movies like this, just kind of like with The Last of Us, when you find a fungus that can kill a human scientist in 5 minutes and you basically nuke the whole town, why would you take a sample?
Oh,
And then
that's
just
stupid.
leave it.
To
Yeah.
nuke another town.
Yeah, but not just take it.
No, they took it and then they
And
put
then
it in storage. And this is
and
the
then they
thing,
left it.
like I put in the chat, I was unclear how much time had passed because it was a
Me
government
too.
installation. And then they show in like a time lapse that apparently the government installation was unfunded. And then
They
the
just
government
left it.
installation went for sale. And then nobody bought it. And then it turned into a graffiti pile. And then somebody bought it and made it storage. And this top secret government, whatever, with this huge deadly biohazard
They
is
just left
now
it.
just in public storage. And I was like,
Right.
and I said, you know what? I can't. It was a horrible fungus. It was a horrible
That could kill everybody.
kill.
And yet they just was like, oops. I mean,
I don't like movies like that. I don't like even stories like that. I don't like
just-
when you just throw that level of stupidity into something
it
so
can fit
serious.
with this current government. So
Well,
I guess
yeah,
it's
but then
not-
you got Stranger Things dude with a bad dye job, and it was just like, oh no, I can't. I just decided to stop. I'd much rather watch. As a matter of fact, when I stopped watching that, I turned on Paradise because I said I need to catch up with Paradise.
Okay, very quick. Let me interject. You're catching up on Paradise, Tom, but King Nerdificent finally got to watch Monarch: Legacy of Monsters.
I did. And you know what's crazy is because I have no idea what's happening with Prime, but all of a sudden Monarch is on Prime. I don't have the Apple TV Plus, but Monarch showed up on Prime, and I said, "Wait a minute, is this for real?" Because I was watching something else. I was watching the Cross, and all of a sudden it's like, you know how they have something next, something coming up next, and so it just said coming up in like 5 seconds, Monarch season 1. I was like, that's impossible. I don't have that channel, or I'm not subscribed there. But it came on. I said to myself, "Oh, I better watch this because if I don't, I'm gonna miss it." And man, let me tell you, that series is fantastic. Oh, Monarch! Really? Monarch is fantastic.
Yeah.
Monarch is building a world that we wish Godzilla and Kong Skull Island would have stayed in, because Kong Skull Island was great. It was serious. It was a very frightening look at what will happen when these monsters break loose, and the destruction and terror that was shown in the first Godzilla movie, the one with Bryan Cranston. That one was great because you finally saw, from a cinematography sense, the size and scale of Godzilla and the destruction that's left in Godzilla's wake. So that's why that was so good. But then you get to Godzilla versus Kong, you're like, well, this is stupid. And then you get to Godzilla X Kong, you're like, they straight went Fast and Furious with it. Like, you guys,
it fills in the blanks,
just
though.
Don't make sense. But this Monarch series, it is so well done. It is so well written, so well done. The backstory that they give you of these Motus, and just the world that was and the world that is, and the appearance of the monsters within this first season, it's fantastic. I'm like, and Mo had been telling me about this for the longest, but I'm like, I'm not getting a new app just to watch
and
that.
Season 2 is finally picking up the action that you were missing from the first one. If you cared about the missing action.
For me, I actually like I'm someone that when you give me a story that's going to move the dialogue along quickly, and you're going to be constantly throwing new things at me about this world that I actually like. I like the world that they were trying to create. For me, the dialogue is just as important as the action. And then but especially something about Monarch that I really love is that by the time they get to the monsters, it makes sense and it's terrifying and it's scary and it's the way they're supposed to be. You're not supposed to have monsters every 5 minutes, otherwise that takes away the thrill. But the threat of them coming and all the tension, man, I love that. Yeah.
But it includes all the little monsters, though, from
Yeah.
all of them,
Yes.
even the one that's current. So then it all makes sense, especially if you are able to eventually, whenever they put season 2 up, you're going to be
I'm
able
hoping that
to
it's going to
see.
be there right now because I think I've only got, how many episodes is it? Because I think I'm on like episode 8 right now.
You should be near the end of the first season.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right, so then hopefully it just carries on over because I'm gonna keep this party going.
Oh, season 2 picks up exactly where season 1 leaves off.
Yep.
This I will say
Apple
this.
does good work.
No, and here's the thing. I'm like, if this is the level of production that Apple is putting into these, because this is cinema, this is straight cinema quality television. Each one of these, it is shot like a film. They're not shot like television series. I'm like, this is literally like they said, we've got this long ass movie we've been making. We need to break this up, y'all, and turn this into, because the level of attention and detail, the writing, the acting, everything they throw into, the special effects, the scale, the sheer scale of the series is phenomenal. I'm almost like, ooh, I might need to add this subscription because this show is so well done.
You know what? But it works in a way that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. never worked for me, because it seemed like a lower budget TV show to fill in for the grand cinematography and majesty of Marvel movies, and it never really worked. It never really connected, and you can see Marvel never folded in that portion of the of the universe. But with Monarch, to your point, Tuala, it's basically the subsequent movies or prequels, depending on the time period, pushed together and chopped up and made into an episodic series, because it's the same level quality. When you start seeing the monsters, they didn't cut any corners.
And I mean, it's Monarch is shot in such a way that it does surpass even the Disney Plus series, because the Disney Plus series, while they are good, the Disney Plus Marvel series are good, they still look like television series. They have that television series quality to them, while Monarch, for me, it's cinema. You know, it's similar to, I guess, how even in the Star Wars series, like Andor, at least, maybe not, the other ones, but at least Andor, that cinema quality that's being brought to the small screen. Monarch is that. Monarch
Can
is
we talk
definitely
about the most heinous monster that I have seen on the small screen recently?
Which is
Conan O'Brien is host of the Oscars.
Oh, damn. Wow.
Was so pleased that they ended that broadcast with the shout out to One Battle After Another. If
you saw that too? Yeah.
If you didn't watch One Battle After Another, that closing scene probably didn't make very much sense to you. But it was perfect, because I was saying the entire time, when Jimmy Kimmel came on stage, I was like, already better than Conan O'Brien. Already. He didn't even have to do anything. Conan looked old. The jokes were flat. Sigourney Weaver and Pedro Pascal, I get why they did it, because it's a Disney movie and Disney owns ABC and Hulu. And so I get it why they were on there. They had zero chemistry. Pedro Pascal had a big ass chrysanthemum on his shirt. I didn't understand it. The Grogu bit was tired as hell. I thought the Bridesmaids reunion, I thought that was cute. That was a cute bit.
It was cute, but it was way damn too long.
It was way too long. But they gave me one of my wins, so I couldn't be mad at it too much. But he was awful. He was absolutely awful. And I said on my page, Trevor Noah would have killed on this broadcast, because with all of the political stuff, Javier Bardem dropped a bar.
But see, they knew Conan O'Brien was not going to get into any of the political stuff.
Absolutely.
As opposed to a Jimmy Kimmel, as opposed to a Chris Rock. And I think they just took the L and said, we're just going to play it safe in this super volatile period where you have the FCC and Brendan Carr leaning on everyone's shoulders. They made sure there would be no Trump jokes by the host tonight.
No, but Jimmy
And
got
gas
his
jokes.
shots in, and somebody got on there and jabbed the fuck out of CBS, which also made me happy. So I thought it moved. I it didn't feel like one of those marathon Oscar broadcasts. The In Memoriam section, I think, was by far the longest single bit of the whole show, which was appropriate given the size and scale of the people we lost this year. But it moved. I must say it didn't hurt that Sinners kept winning like every 20 minutes.
That never hurts.
That kept me on it. So, figure out which Ryan Coogler film you can nominate next year to make sure people stay engaged.
I wonder
and
what
you know what?
the Westworld call is going to be if we're going to see a huge increase in the viewership because people were tuning in to see what Sinners did specifically.
You know what's interesting about this too is that as movies are struggling, movie theaters are struggling. The people who put butts in seat is Coogler, especially when it came to Marvel, and then now and not just now, but you have Creed, you have Marvel, and then you have an independent other films that are not an independent type story that is not a
It's not
minor,
a sequel.
right?
Right. Totally
And they need to consider that people aren't showing up. And look at what happened with Fantastic Four. It didn't do as well. It didn't do as well as in Marvel standards.
Mhm.
It didn't do as well as Sinners.
Well, but I'm saying in general that usually you can hit something. People are willing to go see a Marvel film, and it, for whatever reason, didn't matter what they did, it's just not it. You need to give him more than just a Black Panther, not a Black movie. Just give him a full reign of something because it's going to hit. People are going to be there.
Well, one thing, if you look at some of the latest news, and I just glanced real quick
And
because I
Michael
was
B.
seeing
Jordan.
some of the headlines, and I forgot to put some of these in the chat. But right now, AMC Theaters is reporting right now that movie attendance is still far below COVID levels. Far below COVID levels. That's where we're at. So it's like where COVID was taking people out of theaters, right now attendance is below that. And so now you have a whole lot of film companies saying, hey, to try to help this, Universal, Warner Brothers, and others are saying, we are going to now fight to give movie theaters longer runs with our films and that's to help theaters because they are recognizing that, hey, us bringing, our films to the small screen sooner is killing you all. I was literally, I was shocked that Zootopia is available. I was like, that's impossible. Zootopia is a huge film for the franchise for Disney, and I'm like, it's already at home. Oh, don't need to go see that. I have a friend who he was literally about to go buy tickets, and I was going to ask him. I was like,
November.
Oh,
It's March.
Oh no! Look, I don't know. I don't follow along with them. My kids are past the Zootopia age, so for me, I'm like I thought it just came out. I don't know.
Studios need to worry less about protecting theaters and more about putting quality films in theaters.
That part.
There is no reason, and I'm gonna say it. There is no reason that Train Dreams needed a theatrical run when Netflix exists.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I understand.
When Netflix exists, yeah.
But it's just not. There are movies that merit a big screen presentation, the immersion, and maybe Train Dreams is one of those. I will tell you this: when I heard the song for Train Dreams, I was like, this could not be more on the nose as a song for a movie.
Yeah, but I
have these dreams and I'm dreaming of a lady who's
I would have
train in the forest. I was like, oh, come on,
in theaters. If that was available, if I would have known that was in theaters, I would have seen it in theaters. It was amazing. It was, bring me the tissue. Here's my box.
What is Train Dreams? What is it?
It's a period piece about a guy who's building trains through America.
No, he's not. He's not doing that either. He's a logger. So he's
logging the trees to build the tracks for the trains, right?
that's fair. But I mean, I
Oh,
think
I'm not watching that.
no, but wait a second. The bigger part of the story, that's what he does for a living. The bigger part is this idea of how time passes us by and how you see how people were beginning in the foundation of building cities, and you see how they started it off and then they come back. He goes in to become a recluse because his wife was killed in a fire, and this is how the West was kind of built. I mean, it's a sad story, but it is also it also made me think about my parents or my mother and seeing how much change they've seen in their life. And that's exactly what this is kind of about. It's definitely not a good film to watch uh, reflecting on the elderly, because that's essentially what this is about.
I mean, nothing you have said
It's a beautiful film.
convinces me that this would be a movie that has to be seen in a movie theater. In fact, what you have said convinces me that I need to be watching this on a 65 or 70-inch screen in my house so I can press pause and go to the bathroom and maybe get some tissues or eat a snack and then pick it back up because it's overwhelmed me. This is my problem with there are too many movies that aren't movies. And if you don't have, like, I saw Sinners 5 times for a reason.
Yeah, but Tom, I think my point is that it's a good film versus it being some of these other movies are trash, and I have zero interest in seeing them, and yet they are having a cinematic release, and nobody wants to see this.
But this is the problem. People didn't run out to see Train Dreams either.
Well, I didn't.
There have always been art films that don't draw a large audience, but do, like Hamnet. Hamnet wasn't a runaway success. The Secret Agent wasn't a runaway success. A lot of these movies didn't perform very well, but are no doubt artistic masterpieces, which is why in the advent of, I would say it started in Blu-ray because DVDs was not the same, but Blu-ray and now Ultra HD Blu-ray allow you to get a very high quality experience in your home. And when streaming allowed you to get a very high quality experience where you weren't getting pixelation and all that sort of stuff, then it made sense that fewer people were going to deal, especially in Los Angeles, with $23 tickets, or $17 buckets of popcorn, and $8 drinks. You can get a 12-pack of soda for $8. A 12-pack. And so the cinematic experience, we are well past the days when going to the movie versus watching a VHS at home where it was a dramatically different situation. When VHS became a thing, it was cropped. You didn't even get the right aspect ratio because TVs weren't ready for it. So you were losing the picture. You had a 6 to 8 month or longer window. Because when Suncoast Films was a thing, you could buy it at the Blockbuster price, but they didn't do retail pricing until half a year after the Blockbuster price. Now, because of the quality of the presentation at home, there are plenty of movies that don't merit a huge budget and don't merit a theatrical release. And there aren't enough movies being made now that fit that bill.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question. The sight unseen concept, is that a good thing or a bad thing? And I say this because they're releasing these kind of movies, sight unseen. You go in and the movie's trash. You come out and they advocate hashtag sight unseen, whatever the hashtag is. And I hashtag trash. And maybe I mean that has to hurt.
You talking about the sneak preview thing that they're doing in all these theaters now?
Well, it's sight unseen. You don't know what movie you're seeing. And I've seen 3. 40 Acres was one. I enjoyed 40 Acres. I enjoyed seeing it on a big screen because I love Deadweiler, and I thought it was fine. I don't think it needed to be seen on a big screen. I saw My Dead Friend Zoe, I think is what it was called. Another film I enjoyed. Some big names, unexpected names in a movie of this size. It did not merit, to me, it did not merit a theatrical release. Not because it wasn't good, but just because it's somewhat of a quiet, contemplative film, and I could have enjoyed it equally at home. There was nothing about the scale of the movie that I needed to see it on a big screen, other than the fact that I'm A-list and it was free, and I didn't mind going to see it because I love movies. I like seeing movies, but I also now have a 75-inch television at home.
Right.
And so it's like,
Tom, that's the third time you've told us that you have a 75-inch television.
well, actually, it was 65 before, but it's 75 now. But the point is that
added some girth or growth.
Wow. There's only so many things I have to see. I will go see a Marvel movie. I will go see They Will Kill You, just because that feels like an event to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if they haven't shown me every part of that movie so far, I've already bought my ticket. But if they haven't shown me every possible part of that movie, then I'm going to enjoy it. I will go see Ready or Not 2 in a theater, because it feels like a movie that I will enjoy in a theater. And as an A-list person, I don't mind going to see things that I think will be cool to see in a big scale.
Well, I'll tell you an event that's not about, that doesn't look like people are interested in seeing. Hail Mary. No one is buying
pushing the hell out of Hail Mary
in the pre-sale at all, but they are buying all the seats for The Devil Wears Prada.
I can see that.
Again,
there's a fan base for Devil Wears Prada.
Correct. And it's a date movie, which is a good thing. Dudes can take or people can take their date, and they're going to enjoy it. It's something that the date will want to see. And so that's fine. That makes sense. And that movie made a lot of money. And so as a big sequel, years later, all of the big stars are back. And so I'm sure
that's why people are going.
That's why
it's not too late. It's not a reboot. Yeah.
Correct. You're not trying to take Miranda Priestley in a walker or anything. It's the same foolishness and shenanigans of the first one. And so gird your loins. I will go see that movie in a theater. But again, because of A-list, I can do a lot of things that I absolutely would not spend. It's $30 for an IMAX ticket.
You know what's interesting is they're doing bundles for Devil Wears Prada. And I'm going to say that AMC and all these other theaters, they're like, look, if you don't want to come see our movie, we're going to bundle you to get these popcorn buckets. These popcorn buckets are going to cost you between 40 to 80 bucks. You're going to get these popcorn buckets for Mario and for The Devil Wears Prada. I mean, the memes are out of this world. And Michael Jackson's
absolutely. And that's another one. I will see Michael.
Yeah, I'm gonna see Michael
in a movie theater.
Yeah.
Just like I saw Beyonce's Renaissance in a movie theater. There are things that are worth seeing in a movie. And to me, if the studios got together, imagine what would happen if instead of stacking movies against one another, like Ready or Not 2 comes out, and then the week after They Will Kill You come out. Now, those are two very similar movies. Imagine if the studio said, okay, each of us would love to have 3 hits a year. And instead of putting out 27 movies a year, they put out 6 movies a year, hoping that 3 of those movies would be real hits. And you had 1 movie per month that gets all of the love, gets all the attention, and gets all of the screens to see if they work. So Marvel and DC movies, if you have 2 of those a year, so that's 4 slots. But instead of going against one another in May, 1 week, give them 2 weeks in May, and then you roll out the next one. Give them May, and then give Marvel June, and then give DC July, and then give Marvel August, whatever. Because if you didn't have so many crap films selling 3 seats every showing and then immediately going to Amazon, you could make more, you could have the event films that everybody really wants to see. If you're putting out good shit, you could have the events and keep butts in seats for a 3 week, 4 week, 3 week minimum, 4 week run before you then start to transition into your next thing. And maybe you could keep consistency in your attendance.
They're going to have to do something because, when you have these
Popcorn
big
bucket.
theater chains like AMC, crying about lack of attendance, that's not just them saying, hey, woe is me. What they're telling us is that they are looking at why they need to stay open. When they start making these public proclamations about how attendance is down and sales are down and this, that, or the other, and the film companies are like, yeah, well, here's another Train Dreams. It's not working. It's not working. It's not going to work. And if the big studios aren't going to continuously hit theaters with big attractions, things for people to come and see, something's got to give. Something's got to give. And every single studio has an app now. Every single studio has an app. Every single studio has a pathway to get their content directly to customers. And there are more and more people who are going and getting a big TV. It's not like it was back in the day. It's not that expensive anymore.
Hey,
It's
Tom,
really not.
how big is your TV?
Tom's got to put his TV over his shoulder. It's look.
I would say this: my TV is large enough that I can watch Cockeyed Wednesdays at 9 p.m.
Oh, you got to have Ryan come explain that.
Yeah, we do have to have Ryan
I
explain that.
do think, though, that Marvel releasing some of their things tonight or this week is really trying to get you back on over to Disney Plus, because Daredevil is back.
Oh yeah. Nope. I'm ready. And they've been pumping up Daredevil like, yo, come
Who
back
else is supposed to
and
be in
watch
it?
this.
Jessica Jones.
Right now it is all they've revealed is for sure is the Jessica Jones, because and of course Punisher, he is in it. But that's all they revealed. There are lots of rumors about who all is going to be in it, but right now all we know for sure is that Bullseye is back, Punisher is back, and Jessica Jones is making an appearance, and we actually don't even know for how long, but we do know that Daredevil, while it was originally only going to get this next season, it has already been approved for a 3rd season.
Awesome.
So we will see more of Daredevil introducing, and from the release date is that Disney is comfortable with using Daredevil to integrate and bring in more street tier heroes. And that is something that I said to myself, well, if even if they're not tipping their hand and saying, yes, Luke Cage and Iron Fist are back now, they're essentially putting it out there that we are going to see more of those characters. Who knows? We may see Cloak and Dagger. We may see, all types of not that Cloak and Dagger, but they have still the rights to the characters. They could do a different Cloak and Dagger. For all we know, they could bring back Moon Knight. There's all type of things they can do if they are going with that street tier level of television, because they feel that works best for television. Street tier heroes work best on television. It's harder to do the big, awesome galaxy spanning characters on television. It's just way too much production versus having someone who's strong enough to throw someone through a wall. That's a lot easier for them to do on television. So that's what I think that will at least get a hint for it. No matter what, I'm with it, because Daredevil has not for me at least, Daredevil has not dropped the ball as far as
Not at all.
keeping the action and keeping the intensity that they introduced us to in the Netflix series. And I'm very happy with what they've done on Disney, because wow, it's a lot of horrific things that happen to people in this first season. So
I just did some quick research.
Mm-hmm.
The combined box office gross of the lower grossing 8 Best Picture nominees was less than the worldwide gross of F1 and less than the combined domestic gross of F1 and Sinners.
F1 is a good movie.
So
damn,
this is the problem with an industry that praises art but doesn't properly frame it. Train Dreams was a Netflix movie. It had like whatever the minimum release was required to say. Mm-hmm. And Frankenstein was released in South Korea.
Frankenstein was trash.
But
wait a second. But remember, we had 2 international movies. I didn't see that, so I can't help you with that.
I saw sentimental value on the 3 different sketches they did on SNL. One of which included Stellan Skarsgård himself. So, I mean, it was they literally did it because the young Skarsgård, the vampire one who was in
Alexander.
The True Blood guy. Mm-hmm. He was on there, and they brought Stellan in to be his dad in the second version of that. So anytime they have a person who was of Swedish descent, because one of the characters on the show can do a Swedish accent. So they do this thing where it's like Swedish films are all about inert families. And so apparently that's what sentimental value was. And I said, oh, that's why it won, because everybody's already seen the sketches on SNL.
Yeah, but that other one, I mean, I think this is a bigger issue of who they nominate, because Begovia or whatever that movie is, Begonia, that was a terrible movie.
Couldn't finish it.
But again, Liz, that's what we said in the beginning. The Oscars, it's not for us. The Oscars doesn't care about us. We like movies. The Oscars, they like the people that are part of the Oscars. And that's it. That's it.
That was terrible.
You're never gonna see Predator Badlands nominated. Even though that was a film that put butts in theaters. It wasn't an expensive movie, and they made their money back. It's not.
I would not be surprised if you saw Best Pictures cut down again.
Oh, it's gonna have to. Or there was like eight nominations, or eight 10th. That's too much. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
And obviously they did it in order to try to service some of these smaller, quieter films to get some traction, but if you were built for streaming and you only release theatrically to goose your nomination, then you're guaranteeing that nobody's going to go see it. So nobody saw Frankenstein or Train Dreams because it was all streaming. And then Hamnet.
Ugh.
Do you really need to see a movie set in the 1600s about a kid that you didn't know that William Shakespeare had a son named Hamnet who died, and that's why he wrote Hamlet?
No one cares. I'm sorry.
And I don't know how, I hate to say this, and I love Shakespeare, and Hamlet is popular, but I don't know if that even resonates with this generation at all. And one battle after another. It's long. And one of the main reasons why I didn't see it in theaters is because it's long. It could not fit into my schedule. It was better for me to see it at home just because of the length of it. I mean, I know last year, the person who won The Immigrant, that was long. I mean, that movie was long.
Yeah, but that's
it had an intermission.
I know a lot of people disparage One Battle After Another. I actually went and saw it in the theater, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was. A lot of people couldn't get around the fact that Teyana Taylor's performance, which had a lot of heat initially, but the heat kind of faded, especially in Black populations. A lot of Black people didn't enjoy the movie because of what they thought it did in terms of exploiting, especially Tiana Taylor's character. I, however, went into it thinking that it was probably going to be a political satire, and it is. And I thought it was well done. I thought the performances were very strong. I was not surprised that there were 2 nominations for Best Supporting Actor with Benicio del Toro and Sean Penn. And I'm not surprised Sean Penn won, because Sean Penn delivered a very engaging, over-the-top performance with a character whose arc went a lot of different ways. And so carrying on with that journey, I enjoyed Regina Hall. I enjoyed Benicio. I enjoyed DiCaprio. I enjoyed the actor who played their daughter. I enjoyed every aspect of this film, although I concede the point that it could have been a bit shorter. But as a piece of art, I understand, and as long as Marty Supreme didn't beat Sinners, I was completely fine with One Battle After Another, because it was somewhat expected. Paul Thomas Anderson has been nominated a bunch of times. He's done a lot of films. And so I'm not surprised. But as long as Marty and Shamalama Ding Dong are kicked into the dustbin of history, because this, you have to believe, this was his Citizen Kane.
It was.
This was his Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to launch this Dune. Remember, we have this Dune Venger, this Doomsday that's supposed to happen at the end of the year. Yeah.
Look,
Doomsday
personally, I agree. I'm glad that Marty Supreme didn't win anything, because I am nowhere near a fan of Ding Dong. And I think that as a whole, his career is a lot of hype, pomp, and circumstance that's not deserved. But at an hour 15,
yes,
it is time to go, good people. We got Daredevil season 2 next week, which I'm sure is going to
I cannot
be
wait.
out of freaking control. So we will absolutely see you then.
And
Dr.
we have
Liz.
a whole Spider-Man trailer we could talk about next week.
We'll see.
And
we'll see.
Cross will be wrapped by next week. Season 2 will be wrapped.
Cross will be wrapped. I doubt we're going to finally see the Spider-Man trailer. I think that they're just messing with us. I think they're messing with us. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
I will just say I am very glad, because I was always confusing Shamalama Ding Dong with Tom Holland.
I can't.
And if Zendaya had married Timothée Chalamet, my heart would be broken. So I'm fine that she's with Tom Holland. I mean, I'm not fine, but I mean, she's also way too young. So I'm glad that she has found happiness.
We're going to edit that out.
Okay.
Hey, what?
Edit that out.
All right, there we go. We're good. All right.
Shamalama Ding Dong is crying in his beer tonight.
Yeah, he is.
All right, take us out, Dr. Liz.
Good night, everyone.
Mo Kelly.
Multipass.
Thomas Talking Cunningham.
Where is my Atreides suit?
What? Excelsior. You a Atreides.